The walls in Kelly Russell's life had never seemed so close. Of course, they hadn't been this putrid shade of yellow for a long time either. Her parents lived with the motto of use it up, wear it out, make it do or do without, and kitchen wall paint was no exception. But if Kelly could ace this morning's job interview, she had a chance of getting her own walls again. Soon, and she'd paint them, maybe blue or purple or green, something cool. Anything but the stark white she'd had in California, or this dark yellow. I have to drive out to the ranch. She straightened her jacket as she glanced toward her mom and son, who sat at the kitchen table eating breakfast. She had sailed through her college admissions interview in this jacket. She'd been hired for her first real job in this jacket. She had also worn this jacket in divorce court and been granted full custody of her son, Finn. She hoped the turquoise number would work its magic today. She tugged down the hemline, wondering when her black skirt had gotten a smidge too small. Probably while you were sitting on the beach these past 5 years. She knew there'd be no sitting at Three Rivers Ranch, though she hoped the accountant would at least have an office. It's about 25 miles on that old dirt road, she continued, knowing her 4-year-old son wasn't listening, but hoping her mother was. So I'll be gone for, I don't know, at least 2 hours, maybe 3. We'll be fine, her mom said. I've taken care of children before. I know. Kelly pressed her lips together and determined that she did not need another layer of lipstick. She'd slick on clear gloss just before the interview. But it's been a long time. It had been 24 years, to be exact, since Kelly had been 4, and her mother didn't seem as sharp as she once had. Her dad grumped his way into the kitchen, but Kelly knew his frowny face was an act. Hey, Finny, he said. Want to go throw the pigskin? Just a second, Daddy. Kelly crouched down and drew her son into a hug. Love you, baby. Be good for Grandma and Grandpa. She stood, and a sliver of nervous energy ran through her as she thought about returning to the ranch she had loved as a teenager. She could practically smell the dust, hear the horses whinnying, and picture her best friend waving from the front porch, though Chelsea lived in Dallas now. Three Rivers needs a new financial controller, her mom said as she walked with Kelly to the front door. You're qualified, and Frank knows you. He'd have to be dead not to hire you. Didn't you say he was going to be retiring soon? Kelly worried the inside of her bottom lip with her teeth. That's what Glenda said. Mom put both hands on Kelly's shoulders as Kelly pictured the ladies down at the hair salon, gossiping about everything from the price of beef to who'd moved in over the weekend. You've got this. Her mom nodded and released her. A rush of appreciation lifted Kelly's lips into a smile. Thanks, Mom. As she drove away from her childhood home, she made a mental list of things she could thank her parents for, giving her a fabulous childhood under the wide Texas sky, paying for 15 years of dance classes, which had provided her with a skill she had used to fund her college education, teaching her how to laugh, allowing her and Finn to take over their basement after her divorce. She thought of her work at the local grocer as she pointed her pathetic excuse for a car toward the ranch. She'd been back in Three Rivers for several weeks, and she'd taken the first job she could get. But ringing up milk didn't pay well enough for her to buy her own house and raise a child. And the nearest dance studio was in Amarillo, 50 miles away. The investment of time and money to get there and back didn't make teaching ballet a viable option. Kelly's fingers tightened on the steering wheel. I've got this, she repeated. The gently rolling hills calmed her, as they always had. She'd spent countless hours out here with nothing but her thoughts, the wind, and her friends. The open blue sky further anchored her. She had loved lying on her back in Chelsea's backyard, creating stories from the clouds that rolled by. And the summer storms, she and Chelsea had made up their own songs, their own lyrics, their own choreography, all to the sound of thunder. By the time she turned down the dirt driveway that led to the homestead, a sense of peace filled her. This ranch had been her second home growing up, and coming back to it now felt right. If she could get this job, it would be the first step toward getting her whole life back. The nerves returned. She took a deep breath at the sight of the familiar house, imposing the first time you saw it. But Kelly knew better. She had been in every room, felt the love and warmth from the family pictures hanging on the walls.